Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 31-year-old Pennsylvania resident Joshua Atwood was really undeniably, as you're going to hear, one of the most violent participants in the Capitol attack. And he has since stabbed a man, so stay tuned to the end for those details about that incident. Atwood was seen initially entering the Capitol through a broken window next to the Lower West Terrace tunnel. That window went into an office in the Capitol. He exited that office a short time later, and then he moved over to the tunnel and repeatedly and violently assaulted officers. So he was first seen picking up a bottle from the ground. He threw that at the police, who were obviously trying to prevent the mob from moving deeper into the Capitol. The bottle struck an officer, and then Atwood got a hold of a long metal pole from somewhere. He chucked that at the police like a spear. The pole ricocheted off a tunnel wall and then struck an officer. And then in rapid succession, Atwood was seen throwing several small items at the police. One was a bottle, but the other objects weren't identified by investigators. So after that, Atwood picks up what they described as a long, thick wooden pole, and it was very long and thick, and he used it to stab at the police. So Atwood struck two officers' riot shields with the pole. Then he pulled the pole back and stabbed at another officer and hit him in the helmet. Then Atwood threw the pole at the police, also like a spear. And then he pulled out a can of pepper spray, and then he doused the officers with that. Emptied the entire canister, then he threw the empty bottle at the police as well. A short time later, Atwood was seen throwing a yellow piece of fabric of some sort at the police. Then he threw a liquor bottle at the officers. About 1 minute after that assault, Atwood picks up a stolen riot shield and a metal baseball bat. So he chucked the bat at the police, and it struck an officer's shield before it fell to the ground. So Atwood then used the stolen riot shield that he had to try to scrape. He was scraping the ground with it, trying to get the bat back. Then he started beating the shield on the ground, presumably to try to intimidate the police. After all of that failed, Atwood then used the shield to repeatedly strike the officers' shields. So he's slamming his shield into their shields. And at the same time, he's yelling things like, "Fuck off, you guys are all pieces of shit, every one of you should be ashamed." He called them fuckers. He kept calling them pieces of shit. He said they were betraying the country. He said, "Do you love your country? Do you want the civil communist fuck?" It's like, I guarantee these people could not tell you what a communist is. But he still wasn't done after that. So moments after that, Atwood drops the shield. He picks up a thick, heavy metal pipe. It's believed to be a piece of the scaffolding from the inaugural stage that had been erected for Joe Biden. So he launched that pipe into the tunnel as well. That hit an officer's riot shield and then bounced off and struck another officer's head and neck. Then Atwood picked up a large black speaker cabinet, the cabinet that you keep like giant speakers in for events. He hurls that at the police. Then Atwood's barrage of assaults ended finally, and he left the area only because reinforcements arrived for the police and they deployed crowd control munitions. So this was around 5:15 p.m. The prosecutor said that 1 week prior to Atwood's arrest, he went out and purchased a new iPhone and he set it up under a fake name. And when they reviewed its contents, they found messages to his spouse showing, or his fiance, I should say, saying that he was considering going on the run and he was actively trying to evade arrest. So in early April of 2024, Atwood sent the following message or messages, I should say, to his fiancee. Quote, "I could probably load up the whole house in a U-Haul in a few hours." Quote, "Whenever someone calls the biz phone, don't let them say a time or place and tell them you'll call them back, then star 67 them and call them back in private so they don't have your new number, and then the other phones don't give up the key info, time, and place." He also said, quote, "Delete our text and calls and go into the section and delete the deleted, LOL. Atwood's computer search history was also very instructive. It showed his efforts to try to remain under the radar, and it showed his interest in his own case. So in addition to searching for his name and city and state, Atwood looked up these terms, quote, "How do news reporters know about crimes? How to get a place without identification, Washington County, PA Sheriff's Warrant Search, how can you tell if you're wanted, when a hotel takes your info, is it public or private, FBI Most Wanted List 2023, wanted people in Pittsburgh, best place to be homeless, where to go to live if you're illegal in Pittsburgh, PA, and best place to sleep without ID in Pittsburgh." Yeah. Nevertheless, he was arrested in April of 2024, and he was charged with civil disorder, 2 counts of assaulting officers with a deadly or dangerous weapon, entering a restricted building or grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, one of which included that deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement, 2 counts of physical violence, one of which also included a deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol building. Why only 2 counts of assault? I have no idea. Don't know. Anyway, in September of 2024, Atwood pleaded guilty to 1 count of assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon. So he was looking at up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. The prosecutor, though, requested only 63 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Pretty weak considering his past and also recent violent history and convictions. In 2010, Atwood was convicted for disorderly conduct. This was because he and 2 other men struck one victim and kicked down the door of a witness neighbor. Somebody else who was, I guess, going to testify against him. And then in 2011, Atwood was arrested for 2 counts of recklessly endangering another person, 2 counts of aggravated assault, terroristic threats, and 2 counts of simple assault because he used a gun to shoot at the ground and then pointed that gun at a man who was at his home to repossess his motorcycle. In 2021, so just 1 month after assaulting officers at the Capitol, Atwood was arrested for disorderly conduct again because he got into a verbal altercation with an officer and a tow truck driver. This was following a traffic accident. So the officer was there, trying to figure out what was going on. Atwood gets in an argument with this officer. The officer confronts him because he smells weed in Atwood's car. And Atwood claims, well, I don't even know what marijuana smells like. So after he was taken into custody for disorderly conduct, they searched his vehicle and they found a pipe and weed in his car. So doesn't know what it smells like, but he has a pipe and weed. And then, as I mentioned in the beginning, in April of 2023, Atwood is still out, still hasn't been arrested. He gets into an argument with a restaurant owner and stabs the guy. So Atwood was apparently doing handiwork for this man's business, for the restaurant. Atwood gets in an argument with him, gets angry, and accuses this restaurant owner that he owes him more money. Obviously, the restaurant owner disagreed, so Atwood goes over, pulls money out of the cash register, and tries to take off. So the owner tried to stop him, and Atwood pulled out a knife and stabbed the restaurant owner in the arm. And during this altercation, a gun fell out of Atwood's pocket. So Atwood picks up the gun and flees the scene. Now, luckily, the victim was okay, but it took the police and the U.S. Marshals 1 full month to locate and arrest Atwood because he wasn't living at the residence that he filed with the authorities. And when they finally found him, the prosecutor said Atwood had multiple firearms in his home, including an unregistered rifle. So Atwood was charged with armed robbery and malicious assault in this case, in the stabbing case. That is still pending at this point. I don't know why they didn't charge him for the unregistered weapon, though. So I don't know if there's more charges coming or if they just decided to drop that. But U.S. District Judge Randolph Moss presided over Atwood's January 6th case, and he sentenced Atwood to 4 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Nowhere near long enough, right? I mean, looking at this man's violent tendencies and how out of control he was at the Capitol, no, this is not enough. The good news is, even if Trump pardons this guy, he's probably facing a very stiff sentence for the stabbing case, especially because he now has a violent felony on his record from January 6th, so a recent case. Also, he's one of the few that's been in custody since his arrest in April of 2024. So at least he'll have served some time behind bars. I know it's cold comfort, but, and check this out. This guy has 3 children. His fiance is an idiot if she stays with him. If she subjects their children, her children, to someone like this, they're going to grow up to resent her, and she will deserve it. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.